Hey guys, I wanted to jump on right quick and explain the difference in today's housing market as opposed to the housing crash of 2008. A lot of people have this fear that we're going into another big deal housing crash, and that's not the case because the circumstances are different this time. Back then, leading up to 2006, banks were loaning to anyone and everyone. Whether you're qualified or not, you could have the money and you could buy a house. Well, that led to a lot of foreclosures. And secondly, homeowners back then who did have equity in their homes were cashing out on that equity. And then when the housing market crashed, they were underwater. So they had to walk away from that house, and those also turned into foreclosures. So yes, there was tons of foreclosures going on back then, which led to the crash. Today, people who want to purchase or refinance a home are held to much higher and stricter standards by their lenders. So the banks are not just loaning to anyone anymore. I think they learned their lesson. They don't want to take all those homes back. So they're much more cautious about who they loan to. And the second reason is that people aren't using their houses like ATMs. They're not cashing out their equity and using that to put in a pool or buy a boat or buy a second home. Right now, in fact, at the end of, it was Q4 2021, the average amount of equity people had in their homes was $307,000. That's a lot. And right now, 41.9% of people have 50% equity in their homes. So if there is a dip in the housing market, they're not going to be underwater. They're not going to have to walk away from that home. So the circumstances today are very different than what they were back in 2006, 7, and 8, leading up to the crash. The bottom line is that the reason for the crash 15 years ago was a tsunami of foreclosures. With much stricter standards, as well as the amount of equity people have in their homes today, the fear of massive foreclosures hitting the market is just not realistic, thankfully.